Listen now, we the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. We have all the NFL predictions you need coming up for Week 10. And also some betting advice at the end of the show. If you want to make the easiest $10 of your life, stay tuned for the end of the show with two 100% guaranteed winning bets for NFL Week 10. But first, we have predictions and we have Smokey on. Smokey, how are you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm better than Bears fans right now. I told you they weren't real.
You waited for a while to say that.
Yes, I did. Had to be sure of it.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll see how it goes. How are our records looking?
Man, last week, neither one of us made any ground on each other because we both got 11 picks correct, which is a pretty good week. 3 wrong for each of us. Yeah,
that's not bad.
We differed on 4 picks and split those in right down the middle. So. Brings the total to 88.5 for me and 90.5 for you.
Man, I had a good feeling about all those games last week. Shame I lost 2 of them. I thought I was going to build up a lead here. But I'll do it this week. It's no problem. We're good.
Sure you will.
I will do my best to try. Starting with the first game, Colts at Titans.
Wow, this right here, I actually went back and forth. And I had to really look up some stats on this game to figure out who I wanted to pick. It comes down to 2 teams that are extremely similar, in my opinion. It's extremely similar at quarterback. You can even say extremely similar at running back. Only one uses a bell cow running back and the other uses a committee. But still, I think they're both, pretty much run teams. Run first. And that leads me to, like I always do, tie goes to the home team. So I'm going to take the Titans and Ryan Tannehill to put one over on the Colts because also Phillip Rivers, he didn't look that great in the last game. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Titans at home here.
I'll agree with the Titans, but this is pretty much a toss-up. This is a really, really close one. Really tough to pick. I will take Tennessee for 2 reasons. One, you said home game, but to me the more important reason, you said it, I think Ryan Tannehill at this point is the better and the more consistent quarterback compared to Phillip Rivers. Which, if I said it in 2015, you would have chased after me with a rope. But today,
yeah.
it's probably true, and it's probably the case. So Titans, to me, more consistent offense. I will take them to win this one. Eagles at Giants.
Still, yet another tough game. Think about it. This is a division rivalry, and Eagles are coming off a bye. The Giants are actually playing better with their win over the football team, and we predicted that last week that. Danny Dimes and the Giants are actually getting better, even in their losses. They're getting better each week. But the Eagles are what the Eagles are. They're not great. They still have a powerful offense, and they're getting some key members back. They're getting oh Jesus, I forgot his name. What's the old the wide receiver? Jesus.
Alshon
Jeffrey and Jalen Reagor. They both should be. At least Jalen Reagor is going to be back this week, and Alshon Jeffrey might be back also. So I'm looking for Carson Wentz to actually, open it up a little more. He's been using Travis Fulgham, which is an undrafted free agent that they had. I think with these weapons coming back, and Dallas Goedert should be back this week also. Or actually, he came back last week, but he should be, better off this week considering. I think I'll do it with Sterling Shepard banged up. I'm going to take the Eagles to win this one on the road.
Okay, I was going to take the Eagles and hopefully make the upset pick, but I guess it's not really an upset when everyone sucks, right? So
yeah.
In this division, you never know. I think any team could beat any team in this division because they're all terrible, and they might all end up, or they should all end up with top 10 picks, frankly. It's not going to happen, but they should. I will also take the Eagles. I think they're little bit better team, and they are, to me, the favorites to win the division. One of the most mind-blowing stats that I've recently seen, and that is after Week 9, the Philadelphia Eagles are statistically more likely to win their division than the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are undefeated.
That's funny.
It's unbelievable. And the Eagles are terrible, and still they have a higher chance of winning the division. I'll take the Eagles in this one, but terrible division. Mm-hmm. Jaguars at Packers.
Man, Jaguars at Packers. Now, here's another tough game. Like, we don't know which way. I'm just kidding. Packers are going to kill the Jaguars. But Jake Luton did not look bad. He actually stepped right in there and picked up right where Minshew left off. If not, even played better than Minshew was playing. But there's no way. I mean, the Packers, yes, they've had a few down games, but the Packers are Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Alan Lazard is coming back. So I don't think the Jags have a chance at all, especially this being in Green Bay. They're not used to the cold. I'm going with the Packers at home.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be insane not to make that pick. I wanted to make different picks than you all the time, but this one would be stupid to make. So Packers,
yeah.
Easy win. It's not even going to be close. The Washingtons at the Lions.
Here's a little closer game that we could differ on. And Alex Smith is back under center for him. So that may give them a boost, which, you know, overall, the football team has not played really as bad as I want to say they are. Like, they've had a few shining moments here and there. Their defense is not horrible. They've really had no quarterback play. I guess that's their biggest problem. They've got receivers. They've got running backs. Quarterback has been their only lacking part to winning games. But I got to go with Matt Stafford and the Lions on this one. You know, even without Kenny Golladay, I still think that Matt is going to get it done downfield. And their running backs are great. DeAndre Swift and Adrian Peterson still hanging in there. I'm going to go with the Lions at home.
I think I'll also go with the Lions. I would think that Adrian Peterson actually used to be with Washington until recently, and now he's playing for the Lions.
Revenge game.
True, yeah. I will take the Lions as well. I think that, honestly, don't count out Washington for this division, because if Alex Smith comes back to Alex Smith and who he's been years ago in San Francisco and then in Kansas City, he's a serviceable quarterback. He's a lot like Matthew Stafford, not stylistically, but in the quality of player, that he's a good quarterback. I don't think it's going to be this week just yet. I think the Lions are in a better rhythm. Washington has been dealing with a quarterback carousel. They've been rotating quarterbacks. People are getting hurt left, right, and center. Not as consistent, not as much practice time all around. I'll take the Lions. Texans at Browns.
Man, this really is another tough game for me. I know I said that last week, but it's just stacking up that way. We've got really close games going on with a few, mismatched teams. But Texans really are better than their record, and the Browns are not quite as good as their record. I want to say that Baker Mayfield not practicing with the team is probably, a point away from the Browns side. And the Texans got rolling a little bit in this last game. Of course, it was the Jaguars, so, really, what did you accomplish there? But I think I'm going to put faith in Deshaun Watson to pull this out. Even though Browns are my post-hype sleepers, and I still think they're going to have a winning record, but I'm going to go with the Texans on the road in this game.
All right, I think that's a lot of wishful thinking from you there. Remember, you are the one who made the bet, for one, that Deshaun Watson was going to be a top 5 quarterback this year, and also better than Patrick Mahomes in the MVP race. That doesn't look very likely like it's happening at all.
There was a stipulation to that bet.
To what bet?
You only win the bet for as far as Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson. You only get that bet. You only win that bet if Patrick Mahomes wins the MVP, right? Isn't that how we set that up?
I'll have to look that up. Actually, that might actually be true. So potentially nobody wins it. That might be true.
Yeah,
but you still said that Deshaun is going to be top 5 quarterback. I don't know about that.
Coaching problems, man. Coaching problems.
Well, but Bill O'Brien was gone like pretty early.
Yeah, but if they get a good coach in there, I'll make that same bet next year.
Okay, I mean, go ahead. Give me those monsters. I'll take them, and I'll also take the Browns in this one. They're a better team. They just they're more explosive offense. The Texans. See, if the Texans had traded Will Fuller and J.J. Watt, we completely recognize that they're tanking. Now, trade didn't get done. They're still tanking. They wanted to trade Will Fuller. They are going to trade J.J. Watt. This team is rebuilding. They're tanking and they're rebuilding.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, they have a quarterback, but they're not beating Cleveland this week. The Bucs at the Panthers.
I almost picked the Browns in that one, too, but I'm glad I didn't now, so at least we differ on that.
Same.
Bucs and the Panthers. This is tough because the Panthers looked decent last week. You know, they really almost beat the Chiefs, to tell you the truth. Could just be a fluke game, who knows? But Christian McCaffrey was back, although he is out now and he's not going to play this week. So we're going back to Mike Davis once again. The Bucs. We have to talk about the Bucs. Jesus Christ, man, that was a whoop. That was a paddling. Like, the Saints took the Bucs out to the middle of the field, bent them all over, pulled out the giant principal paddle, and just whacked them. Just beat them over and over, and they could not stop it, man. It was a bludgeoning. There was a bloodbath there. The Bucs just got hurt. I mean, when you throw out Jameis Winston to finish off the game, you know that game is over. Like, it was. I couldn't believe it. I don't know what I was watching. Like, how does this happen to Tom Brady? You know, once I say that Tom Brady, maybe he's just that good. And maybe the Bucs are that good. They go out and just die in the middle of the field. Just gave it all up. I guess they should. Any other Tom Brady team should come back this week stronger than ever. That's what I would think. So that's what I'm going to go with here. I'm going to go with the Bucs to win this one. I think they're going to try to get it right. But if they don't, you know, that may be the end of their playoff run for this season.
Well, you said it right for sure. This is the moment where they have to get it right, do a 180 and come back. See, this is how would it work in New England. And when a game like this happens, this is where the truck stops, where like time stops and everything gets redone and reworked, and we make sure we don't make that mistake again, whatever means necessary. I don't know if that same environment is the case in Tampa, but it better be, because they looked horrible. They did not look like a playoff team at all. They did not look like they were competing for this division. And personally, I'll say this: I know someone, a certain person who is going to feverishly be observing this particular game because they picked the Panthers to be better than the Bucs in previous to the season, and you know who I'm talking about. And you know what? He might have had a point, but I will take Tampa in this one. I think they just have a higher quality roster, and with Christian McCaffrey out again, Carolina looked good, but not good enough to win against an elite team, which Tampa Bay should be. But we might have to consider that if they lose again. For now, I'll err on the side of caution and say that they are going to win it. Chargers at Dolphins.
Chargers at Dolphins. This is the battle of the rookies right here. This is probably the most interesting game on this slate to me, other than the Bills and the Cards, only for a different reason. But I really want to see what happens here. I think Tua kind of had a breakout game last week. You know, he's showing why he was a first-round draft pick and why for most of his college career, he was predicted to be the number 1 overall draft pick. You know, and Joe Burrow being what his season was, of course, changed that, and his injury. But watching that game last week, it doesn't seem that hip injury is affecting him at all. I like Tua. I like Tua in this one. Justin Herbert, you know, he's on fire. He's got that offense running on all cylinders, it seems, but they can't pull out wins for some reason. They have this terrible knack of losing it in the fourth quarter somehow, right at the end of the game, too. I'm going to take the Dolphins, who seem to be really good right now and unstoppable almost. I'm going to take the Dolphins here.
This is a really hard game to pick. Not necessarily record-wise, but we know the Chargers are a lot better than their record is. Both of these teams are looking at really bright futures with the quarterbacks they have, because we have not seen a bust quarterback at all. We have seen, I guess Jake Luton is a rookie, so we don't know exactly how that's going to end up going. But for the main three guys, they have been playing for real. They've been coming out. They've been balling right from the start, each and every one of them. So incredible class if it continues that way. But for me, I have to go with the momentum. I have to go with the Dolphins. I think they are just a more complete team. They throw Tua in there to top off the potential, fringe 8-8 roster, turning them into a 9-7, 10-6 quality kind of team that has serious playoff chances and has a serious shot at that division, by the way, because they still play the Bills, and the Bills are not invincible like we thought they were after 5 weeks. So the division is wide open. Miami gets it done, and they're going to 6-3, which I don't think a lot of people would have projected before the season, but they're getting it done against the Chargers. Broncos at the Raiders.
Well, speaking of Tua, his number one receiver in college, it plays for the Broncos now, and he is actually, as I always say, rookies tend to break out in the second half of the season. Jerry Jeudy looks unstoppable right now, and I think he's going to continue to play that well for the rest of the season. The Broncos as a whole, on the other hand, even though Drew Lock looks good in the fourth quarters for some reason, he's playing a horrible 3 quarters of every single game. And, that being what it is, the Raiders are frauds, though, right?
True.
I'm going to say the Broncos are frauds.
Okay.
So this is a fraud bowl, right?
It might
I think it is. I guess one interesting fact about this game is that Jerry Jeudy gets to play across from his other receiver at Alabama in Henry Ruggs, and that'll be pretty interesting to see. I'm sure they're both going to be out there trying to outdo each other. Although in college, Jerry Jeudy was the WR1 to Henry Ruggs' WR2, but Henry Ruggs got drafted first, so this will be kind of a tiebreaker in the best of 3 series against the two. I'm going to go with the Raiders at home, to take this one.
I'm going to agree with you, and yes, the Raiders are frauds, obviously. They need to win a playoff game to get me to stop saying that, but they're not going to do that because they're frauds, obviously. However, the Broncos are not a playoff team right now, missing too many pieces. They've missed Drew Lock for most of the season. He still hasn't caught his rhythm because he was out for a while. Of course, Von Miller out hurts the defense immensely, and a very, very young team, very young offense still has a little bit of work ahead of them. They'll be good in the future, not as good this year. Raiders are going to take it. Now, you talked about this game already. Buffalo at Arizona.
Yes, and I am glad to report that step number 6 or 7 or whatever it is of the road to the MVP has been completed finally. We had a couple of hiccups on the way, but we got there, and right now Josh Allen is back to top form and back to MVP form and back to what I expected him to be this season. Now, he's got a long way to go. He could still choke this one away, but if he continues on this exact trajectory he's on, I think the MVP spot is his. The Cards, played really well last week, but just couldn't quite get over the hump with the up-and-coming Dolphins because Tua just gives spark to teams like that. The Cards are still really good. I mean, just like... I didn't even think about that. That's, again, that Tua got one over on Kyler Murray. But, yeah, I think this one, I got to protect my hot take there, so I'm going to go with Josh Allen to put one over on Kyler Murray.
I will agree with you on that one. In terms of the MVP race, it's still wide open. He got a huge victory over Russell Wilson, both in terms of actual wins in the season, and for the MVP race, that is monumental. There's still this other guy. Where's number 12? Green jersey. Been pretty good this season. I think he's currently the number 1 because he had one bad game. And both Russell and Josh Allen now have had at least 2 bad games. So to me, Aaron Rodgers is the MVP leader. And by the way, there's other people involved. Like, we have not mentioned the name Big Ben all season. He's undefeated. We haven't talked about Ryan Tannehill much. So this MVP race is wide open, involving more people than most years' MVP races. As for this game, I will agree. I will take the Buffalo Bills to take the win here. And we will come back to this one. Not a big secret, but later in the betting segment, this to me is one of the worst spreads I have ever seen. But I will keep that for when it's time. Niners at Saints.
Well, how do you feel about the Niners these days? I don't know, man. I don't see how they get back on track. I think you may want to put your Niners in the group with my Falcons and just say, let's get a high draft pick at this point. But I'm sure both of these teams will win enough games to make that not possible. So we're both going to be mad about that, hopefully. Or I say hopefully, probably. It's not actually a good thing or anything. But coming off by, the 49ers should be rested up, but they still don't have their pieces back. Mostert's not going to be back this week, even though he wanted to be. Of course, you're going to be starting Nick Mullins there. The Saints, coming off of the most dominant win probably of this entire season, are back to looking unstoppable. Michael Thomas is back. That opened up that passing game ridiculously. Even though he didn't get the, entire workhorse load of the catches, having Michael Thomas on the field actually opens it up for every receiver on that field, including the tight end. I'm going to go with Drew Brees and the Saints to whoop the Niners here at home.
Now, this could have been an epic rematch out of, if you remember, last year's Game of the Year at New Orleans in prime time, which was a phenomenal one that ended up good for San Francisco and actually was huge to clinch the number 1 seed. So that was a big one. But one thing I'll have to correct you on: Niners are not coming off of a bye week. Bye week is next week. It felt like they were because they played on Thursday night.
Yeah, that's right.
They got clapped up and down the field by Aaron Rodgers, that MVP candidate guy. You might have heard of him. It was Thursday night. But that's not going to change anything, obviously. Half the offense is hurt. Now Brandon Ayuk's coming back. Mostert, I'm not sure about. And Deebo Samuel should be able to be back as well. As well as Trent Williams, which was a very unfortunate situation, by the way, with the false COVID tests on the day of the game. And they weren't allowed to activate them from the roster due to some technicality. So that was very unfortunate. Still, New Orleans is a better. I mean, come on, what did they just do to the Buccaneers? Coming off that game, if the Niners were at full strength with a healthy Jimmy Garoppolo, a healthy George Kittle in the lineup, and the same defense, the same pass rush that was there last year. I mean, like, Dee Ford hasn't played a game this year. Nick Bosa played 1 game this year. Solomon Thomas also 1 game. And there is just no production coming off of this pass rush at all. So this is just a mismatch. To me, the secondary keeps getting hurt. Unprecedented amounts of injuries. There is no way to compete seriously for a playoff spot with what you're currently working with. And I agree. I think it's going to be, get a draft pick and reset, try again next year. Because this year it's over. But the Saints are going to win this, no doubt. Seahawks at the Rams.
Yeah, well, I guess it's kind of tough also. I mean, it's a division matchup, so you expect it to be tough no matter what the teams look like for the rest of the season. But, the Rams are on a decent trajectory, and they could possibly make a playoff run here. Seahawks coming off a pretty good beating by the Bills, even though Russell Wilson being there made it somewhat close in the end. I mean, it was a 10-point victory, which should have been even more, but if it wasn't for Russell Wilson, it would have been. But I don't think the Rams are on the level of the Bills right now. So the Rams should... I don't know. You know what? I really don't know what to make of the Rams at this point. I think they have enough wins to make a playoff push, but I don't know if they're really that caliber of a team. I thought for sure Jared Goff was going to come back and just get right back into his 2 seasons ago form. I predicted him to make a comeback, so to speak, to pick back up after a down year, which sometimes happens to quarterbacks after a Super Bowl loss like that. I mean, look at the 49ers. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think the Seahawks, they need to get back on track, and I think Russell Wilson's going to get them back on track. They got a bunch of receivers out there that are extremely dominant. I'm going to take the Seahawks to win on the road.
Exactly what you said. That's not going to happen twice back to back, is it now? Seahawks have a terrible defense. They have a great offense. It could be a high-scoring one if the Rams can keep pace, which they should be able to, because this is historically terrible defense for Seattle and is going to cost them come playoff time if they don't fix it up. But for regular season games, if they can keep driving the ball up and putting points up on the board, they're going to win the game, and they're going to keep the lead in that division. Bengals at Steelers.
Well, I think this game here comes down to the Big Ben COVID, his issues, and if he's going to be cleared to play this week or not. Now, from what I understand, that he hasn't tested positive yet. It's just close contact with Vance McDonald, the tight end, and a few other players have also been taken out as of right now, and they're not practicing because of it. The Bengals are coming back and should be, Joe Burrow should be right back to where he was. He should be doing really well. But it's a lot like the Chargers. Like, even though the offense seems to be on fire right now, they're just not winning the games in the end. So that does make it tough. I mean, just from the outside, if Ben was playing and there were no COVID issues going on right now, I would definitely pick the Steelers, especially at home. But it makes it tough. I think in the end, I'm still going to go with the Steelers and just hope that all the tests end up being negative and Ben is playing this week, because if Mason Rudolph plays, there is no way they're beating the Bengals. No way in hell.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm gonna take the Steelers as well. I think they win the game even if Ben can't play. I'm expecting him to be able to play. They're being very, very cautious with those keeping people out from practice and stuff. So typically, in the majority of the cases, we have seen it turn out to be fine, false positives, whatever. And he's gonna test negative, and he's gonna be able to play. I think it's gonna be fine. But even if he doesn't, they're still beating the Bengals because they have the best defense in the league, and they can give Joe Burrow and this Bengals team fits, which is by no means talking down to the Bengals or specifically Joe Burrow. He's the best player on the Bengals team already, which is a good and a bad thing at the same point. But he's going to have troubles with that type of ferocious defense as a rookie without really having the protection that he needs to be having against it, because the Bengals O-line is quite lackluster, especially the interior. They're having troubles.
Yes.
I will take the Steelers. If it's a 6-3 game, it's still going to be, which would be very fitting for this matchup, by the way, and of course the AFC North classic, but Steelers still take it. Ravens at Patriots.
Oh man, the counterparts to those guys. Patriots, they don't have anything to celebrate here. They got a narrow victory, a comeback victory over the worst team in the entire NFL. And I'm not so sure that if the Jets weren't tanking, that they couldn't have just kept going and Joe Flacco and Brashad Perryman just beat the Patriots in that game. The Patriots look horrible. Cam Newton looks horrible. We saw one extremely good game from Cam Newton this year, but it just so happens that now we can look back at this point in the season and see that was against the worst defense in the NFL. They are actually ranked number 32 in defense, the Seahawks are. So that is the only good game that Cam Newton has had here. I don't think he's their starting quarterback next year. And I feel really good about my prediction at the first of the season that even with Cam Newton, they're not winning this division. And I predicted 8-8, but it could be worse than that. They could go 7-9 or 6-10 from what I'm seeing. I'm going to pick the Ravens on the road to whoop the Patriots here.
Okay. Well, Joe Flacco, it seemed like when I last looked at it, they were up 2 scores fourth quarter. He was beating the Patriots like it was 2011. And in which year he did beat the Patriots in the playoffs as the quarterback of, guess who, the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Who are coming back now. This seems like historically it's one of those games where New England just like grinds it out, and it's going to be a close game. They run the football, play defense, but they haven't been able to run the football or play defense as well as they usually have. They're missing too many people, and they're not really making it happen, especially playing defense. Consistently stopping this Baltimore team is tough. Now Baltimore's struggling in their own right. They're not really living up to the hopes or the expectations they had on them coming into the season. But they should be able to beat this New England team that barely, like, if they lose to the Jets, there's no debate about this game at all whatsoever. And it was a close one too. They might as well have lost. So the Ravens should be able to take it. And then finally, last game Monday night, we have the Vikings at Bears.
Real quick before we get on to that one, what are the chances that the Patriots are tanking?
Like tanking?
Well, Bill Belichick, man, you would expect what it was. I heard a clip from the radio show that he does there in Boston or whatever that is, the sports show. He doesn't seem worried about it. Like, he says, this is, you have to expect that when we've been basically giving up our team all these years for Super Bowl runs, and now it's all caught up with us, and this is what it is, and we're going to rebuild from here.
So you think he maybe just took a shot, like see if Cam Newton is still Super Cam? If he is, great, I'm going back to the Super Bowl. If he's not, I'll just take the year off, basically, and restart?
Yeah, that's possible, right?
Interesting. Yeah, that is interesting.
I mean, judging from his comments, I would have never thought that being Bill Belichick, but judging from his comments that he made, and I'll have to find the clip and send it to you and show you, but I think it's possible. I think, he may end up looking for I think his type of quarterback may be more along of a Mac Jones or a Kyle Trask or somebody rather than going for a Trevor Lawrence or a Justin Fields, but maybe so. I mean, and that would be in his range because he's probably going to end up, 6-7 wins this season. So he's going to be in the middle of the first round, maybe taking a Mac Jones or somebody.
Wow. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Vikings and Bears. The Vikings are trending up. The Bears are trending down, as I expected and as I pointed out the whole time. I'm going to add the Bears to the fraud list. They're going to end up 8-8 at the end of this season. The Vikings might also end up 8-8, but right now their defense is starting to click, and Dalvin Cook looks like the best running back in the NFL right now. He took that title from Christian McCaffrey this season, man. 2 games back to back, and if you're playing fantasy, he gave you over 50 fantasy points 2 games back to back, and that's almost unheard of for running backs. But I'm gonna take the Vikings to win this one.
Wow,
on the road.
I'm having a tough time picking this. On the one hand, everything in me wants me to scream out Bears just to contradict your point. On the other hand, I do recognize trends as well, and you do have a point in that. On paper, before the season, we thought Minnesota was going to be better. Then for weeks and weeks, they were terrible. Now they're looking a little bit better. I'll take the Bears. I will take the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
I'm not going to overthink it. I will take them, and they are going to win this game. It's going to be easy. And do the Bears play the Raiders this season at all?
I hope so.
That would be the fraud bowl then, and we'd be it would be each other's fraud. So that would be interesting. But I'll take the Bears. Chicago wins.
Yeah. The Bears and what offense are going to win this game?
Well, I don't need an offense. Not a lot of offense. I just need 17 points. And Nick Foles can do 17 points, and then just stop the Vikings. It's a wishful pick, and it's not as easy as I'm making it sound. It's a tough game to pick, but I will take the Bears. So, do you have anything to add in terms of the predictions so far for this week?
No, that's about it for this week.
Got the Jets, Chiefs, Cowboys, and the Falcons on bye. And for those who stuck around, if you want to make the easiest $10 of your life, now listen up. This is how we're going to do it. We're betting on 2 games this week. 2 games, very simple bets. All these quarters that I'm looking at here, all the odds are coming from MyBookie. And first of all, we are taking the Buffalo Bills at +2. I brought it up before, but I don't know who sat there in the office favoring the Cardinals over Buffalo this week. This seems insane. The Bills are coming off one of the most dominant wins over Seattle. Arizona just got beaten by Tua. I don't understand this line at all. How is Arizona favored? I don't care. We'll take advantage of it. Take the Bills +2. We'll also take Seattle, the aforementioned Seahawks, because the Rams are actually favored by 1.5 points. For whatever reason, someone decided to favor the Rams over Seattle. It is both of these. Maybe it's the home game, benefit both for Arizona and for the Rams. I'm not buying it when it comes to betting. I will take Seattle. I will take the better team, Seattle and Buffalo. $5 on each against the spread. Easiest $10. 100% put them in the bank. Guaranteed money. Last week we won one, lost one, which is what we usually do. It's extraordinary. I think 9 out of through 8 of 9 weeks we have lost one and won one every single week. There was only 1 week where we actually won both. But this week will also be one where we win both, because it's easy. Obviously, both these teams are going to win. So, easiest $10 of your life. Make those bets now. And also, Smokey. Everyone's waiting, looking forward to the hurry-up offense, which is obviously coming up on this channel as well, Fantasy Football. Do you have any insight that you can give us already on what you're going to be talking about?
Yeah, today we are talking about assess the team along with the player.
Okay. I'm curious to. I don't know quite what that's about, but I'm gonna see when that comes out. So be sure to check out the Hurry Up Offense if you're a fantasy player, true professional, Smokey sharing some of his secrets. You don't want to miss that. With that being said, let us know your predictions in the comments. Check out the Hurry Up Offense, and we will be back next week, as I will have made a couple more points in my lead against Smokey and going into week 11. We'll see. So everybody, thank you for watching, and we're gonna see you in the next one.
Deuces.